Do you mind if we listen to some music?
Oh, I'd love to.
Should we see what's on the...
See what's on the radio.
Asked a girl what she wanted to be. She said, baby, can't you see? I want to be famous, the star on the screen, but I can do something in between. Let's go!
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I want to be a star.
Baby, you can drive my car.
And baby, I love you. Dun, 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 dun. The two most things intellectually important to me over my entire life has been math and the Beatles. When you listen to their music has incredible empathy for people. I try to have empathy for people. I try to have understanding. I try to influence people in a positive way, I guess. When you get to your job, look around and make yourself valuable. Look around and see what's not being done that could be done, and you do that. Or what's not being done well, what could be done better, and you do that. Since 1987, I've been running an undergraduate research program at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and it goes by the initials REU, which stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates. It is the only undergraduate research program in mathematics that's run continuously and been funded continuously by the NSF since 1987. This is my office. I've been here something like 26, 27 years, and I have the two things that I enjoy the most, math and the Beatles. Well, here's my list. It says, Record of Letters for 1972 job. And I have 145 schools that I applied to. and it says here, when I sent the letter, or the reply, if there was one, no opening, no opening, no opening, opening, no opening, no reply, job filled. Anyway, and it looks like 6 people said that they might be interested in hiring me, but only one actually asked me to come for an interview, and that was UMD. And that was only because they had actually given the job offered the job to somebody else, and then the guy accepted it. And then about a month or 2 later, he changed his mind and he stayed where he was at. So that reopened the job. I got lucky. My whole life has been a series of good luck happenings. Although there's a famous phrase, I forget who said it, that good luck is opportunity meets preparation. Those two things together, that's a good luck. The three most important things is something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. I'm going to pick up my grandson. I pick him up every day around, my normal days, I pick him up around 3:30 or so, and he comes to my house. This is my huge thing every day. If I had a happiness measurement, a tool instrument, 95% of it would be with the boy. Hey, good old Joey. Do you have a good day?
Yeah.
Joey Yapple, named after me. All right. Back. Ah. I have 3 children and 8 grandchildren. I was born in 1942 in a small area about 15 miles northeast of Pittsburgh. I didn't do well in high school because I didn't intend to go to college, and so I didn't try very hard in any of the subjects. But on the math, it was just the opposite. Mathematics is an incredible way of thinking. It's a systematic way of analyzing data, analyzing ideas. The history of it is incomparable. There's no other discipline that can go back thousands of years like mathematics can. And there's no other discipline, of course, where somebody can make a statement from 2,000 years ago, and it's still true today. All those philosophical statements and political statements and all that was wrong, but the mathematics from the Greeks is still right. When I got here, there was no other person on the faculty here interested in research on the math faculty. No other person had any interest in algebra, and there was no graduate students So as soon as I got here, I thought, well, maybe I can partner with students, undergraduate students, to doing research. I could even put little signs on my door. I have an idea for a senior project, knock on the inquire within.
Joe was doing math research for undergraduates before it was cool.
Part of it is his willingness to think that undergraduates can do research, and that was maybe a breakthrough in terms of how we treat undergraduates in our country.
The mindset in that era was undergraduates can't do serious research in mathematics. You have to wait till you're a graduate student. You have to wait till you have 2 years of graduate school before you can really do research. I had the opposite opinion. People at your level, undergraduate level, sometimes want to give up a little too soon on a problem. Yeah, these are hard problems. They're professional level problems. Some of these papers I'm giving you, you'll see that person A wrote that paper, and when you look at the references, they actually wrote 3 or 4 papers on the same topic. They've been thinking about these problems for years, and these are problems that they're making conjectures on. That doesn't mean you can't solve them.
Professors just don't think it's reasonable to give a student an open problem. But Joe insisted.
This little problem here is something that the students do original research, and the problems are professional level. I look for papers that have open problems or conjectures or something called future directions for research, and then I say, okay, this seems like it'd be good for an undergraduate. And then I hand the paper over to the undergraduate and I say, see what you can do with it.
There are 2 types of ways to attack math research. The first is you find a problem that people haven't been able to solve in the past. This could be something which was asked 10 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago, and people don't know how to solve it. That's really hard. The other thing you can do is you can find a question that no one's ever asked before and kind of explore this uncharted territory. That's a lot easier and in some ways even more exciting. I think that's what we've done for the most part in this REU program.
It's not very common for undergraduates to get this experience. I found that it's pretty easy when doing individual research to doubt yourself and maybe say to yourself, oh, anyone could have thought of this, and I'm kind of trapped in a box of my own thoughts and it's hard to get new perspectives. And so I think it's important to be able to learn to relax a little and have confidence in your own mathematical abilities. Joe helps the effort of not getting fatigued mathematically by, I think he's very receptive to how we're feeling about our problems and whether or not we're engaged in our problems. And I think if we express to him that we aren't doing well with a problem or aren't enjoying it, he'll kind of make sure that he finds something that we'll enjoy more.
This isn't just some expository papers that students are writing that are going to be in their university's journal. The students at Duluth are writing papers that are published in serious professional journals.
The talent is unbelievable. Quite a few of my students end up at the Center for Communications Research. That's a cryptology think tank funded by the NSA. And a lot of them there, and a huge number of people, well, relatively huge. A lot of people end up at places like Facebook or Google. A lot of people in Google. A lot of people in technology type places. Oh, here's another good photo I have. These are my students at the joint meetings, joint mathematics meetings. This is Manjul Bhargava. The most notable RU alumni to date, there's one guy, Manjul Bhargava, he's spectacular, he won the Fields Medal. It's frequently called the Nobel Prize in Mathematics. But he also was elected to the National Academy of Sciences at age 38. That's extremely young. When he was in his first year as postdoc at Harvard, he was offered a full professorship with tenure at Harvard and Princeton. Another very famous one is Melanie Wood, who is a student, a PhD student of Manjul's. And when Melanie Wood was in the REU, she continued the same work that Manjul did in the REU. She just took it a step further. She's extremely well known, even though she's young. She was the first woman ever on the United States Math Olympiad team. That's for high school students. She's now at the University of Wisconsin, and just this year, in the last few months, the last time I heard from her, she had full professorships offers at Berkeley, full professorship offer at Caltech, with tenure, of course, full professorship offer at Yale and Carnegie Mellon, and she's already won some major awards.
The Duluth REU has had such an impact on my life. I met my husband at the Duluth RU. Joe is like family. You know, that's why, we had him speak at our wedding. He is so important to our family.
I feel like a proud parent, but that's taking too much credit. I take more pride than I should, but I am very proud of it. I liken myself to a football coach. Great football coach usually weren't great football players, and baseball coach and basketball coach, but they had a love for the game, a great depth of knowledge for the game, and they wanted to help other people do their best. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help these young students take their talent and make the most of it and become on the way to professional mathematicians.
Which is SYOG2OKR.
The keys to success are the choice of students, the choice of problems, the matching of the two, which is totally, the matching could go wrong, and then the format, the freedom to spend your time as you want. You're not working in a group. You can work when you want. The advisors live with the students, work with the students, talk with the students. The visitors live with the students, work with the students, talk to the students. And the camaraderie, the community appears atmosphere.
The only mandatory things in the RU are, okay, you have these 15-minute talks. That's sort of like a progress report / other students have an idea of what their friends are doing. But the really mandatory thing is you must on every Wednesday, unless we move it to Thursday for weather reasons, you must on every Wednesday go on a field trip into nature. As Joe will say, oh, we're going rafting. So last week's field trip was rafting. We're going to go raft down the St. Louis River. You wouldn't expect a math RU to have that.
I'm more concerned than excited, I'd say. If I drown, you can have all my Beatle stuff in my office.
Okay, I'm glad we got that on camera.
He say 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. Got to be good looking 'cause he's so hard to see. Come together right now over me. Shoom dum dum, shoom dum dum dum.
I think the field trips really help the RU experience because it's a good way to get to know the other participants and advisors and Joe through a different context. So a lot of the times we're in this purely mathematical context with people, but I think a lot of the best conversations I've had with people have been when we're on the Wednesday excursions. Maybe we're on a hike and just walking next to each other, and it's more of a chance to have maybe more serious one-on-one conversations. That's really helped me get closer to a lot of the people in the RU, and I think once you're closer with the other participants, it's easier to sort of collaborate, maybe go to them with math questions, have them explain in more detail what they're working on, and learn from each other better.
There have been a couple of really nice field trips where we've gone somewhere really pretty. I remember Gooseberry Falls in particular, and we've just walked around and enjoyed nature and chatted about sort of random topics. And I remember sort of just talking to Joe and hearing about stuff that happened 20, 30 years ago, all while walking through the beautiful scenery by Lake Superior. That was really special.
So it's very important to the program and to me and to when I write grants and to the students. It's an integral part of the program to have fun. Have fun. When people, like, if you look at my list of people who come here, accept my invitation, they're from the same school. Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Stanford. When what happens is somebody from those schools, whatever, Princeton, MIT, they come here, they have a good time mathematically, and they have a good social activity.
I'm currently a rising senior at Stanford doing math, and I'm actually originally from Russia, and I moved to the States right before going to university. And my first year was pretty disastrous in the sense that I didn't feel like I fit in at all, and I just didn't feel comfortable with the people. I didn't feel like I was making meaningful connections with anyone, and gradually I was sort of isolating myself more and more from everyone around me. And by the end of it, I was, as dramatic as it sounds, pretty desperate, and at some point was even considering transferring back home, just because I was not happy at all. But then fate would have it that I came to the RU, and, you know, gradually, step by step, I started opening up. Because, you know, after week 1, I was like, this isn't so bad. I'm doing math, I'm enjoying myself. This is fine. And then a few more weeks later, I was like, these people are actually a lot of fun. They're like as weird as I am, and they also go to bed at 5 a.m. sometimes and really like math and do all these crazy things. And then a few more weeks later, I was just in love with the place, in love with the people, in love with what I was doing, and it was just completely life-changing for me.
I was very thrilled to get Nina into the program. I found out later, after she left Duluth, she wrote me a note and said something like, she felt really at home, quote, at home, like she was in Russia, in Duluth. That made her feel like she was part of the United States, part of the math community here. And that made me feel wonderful, because that's what I'm trying to do. I want people to feel like this is a special place, this is a special opportunity, and that worked out exactly the way I had hoped for her. The most important thing in the RU, besides the research, and maybe equal to the research, is the networking. Duluth has this incredible network of over 40 years worth of people coming here. Many of them have very important positions in the math community, full professorships, endowed chairs, major awards. And so that means when they're at a conference or somewhere, they know somebody's a speaker, they see somebody, oh, you were in Duluth, are you? I'm a Duluthian too. That's the phrase we use.
I would consider Duluthian as part of my identity. I think I definitely wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Joe.
I go to a conference in Germany or something, and there's a Duluthian. I say, oh, what year did you go to Duluth? Oh, and they ask, how's Joe doing? I say, oh, I advise for the program, it's great, It's nice because it's not just a network of people who, went to some fancy school or something. It's like a network of people who worked on combinatorics problems, tried really hard, maybe failed, maybe succeeded, and have experiences like going rafting or something.
This is the joint annual mathematics meeting. I always bring usually everybody from my RU, everybody that's able to come, and they present their work.
What is the most efficient way to pack identical spheres into n-dimensional Euclidean space? So say you have open unit
About 6,000 mathematicians gather, about 1,200 talks, all book exhibits, all kinds of things going on for 4 days. Well, I think it's a good advertisement for the Duluth RU, and it's also a good advertisement for undergraduate research, because people can come and say, wow, these undergraduate students are doing professional level research, and this is a good way to display that. Since Duluth has been running so long, started in 1977, I have an annual Duluth dinner. And we typically at one of these meetings, there'll be from 30 to 50 Duluth alumni. And so I invite them to, if they can come, they show up for the annual dinner.
Thanks to Joe for putting together, this community. Lots of us have, I see several different incarnations of this shirt. I think I can think of very few people that could assemble a community like this that persists for so many years.
I've known Joe for over 3 decades, so well over half my life. He's been a great friend, and I appreciate that Joe has found his calling in helping support and mentor other people in their mathematics careers. So I've learned more mathematics from other people, but I think it's safe to say that I've learned more how to be a mathematician and part of the mathematical community from Joe and from the program than from anyone else.
I mostly want to thank him for advice to just say yes, although maybe I took it a little bit to an extreme. So But I guess life is crazy and you only do it once. So I think it is great advice to just say yes, find the things you want to do, find the ways that you want to contribute, and find your niche. And it's really due to Joe that I've had success doing that. So thank you.
Joe is probably the best undergrad mentor in the nation. And you can see that he just, I think actually a lot of people in the program don't really know how much time he spends trying to ensure the success of his students. And it's really kind of amazing to be around him and talk to him about all of the things that he's doing to try to make sure that the students in the program and students who have been in the program continue to be successful.
Without question, the most influential person in my life after my parents, both mathematically and in every other aspect. Like everyone mentioned, it's, if they ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say the shadow of Joe Gallian. You can't get to the man himself.
Let's see, I started in '77. This is 2019, so I'm near the end. I like to use sports analogies. Muhammad Ali fought too long. Some boxers stayed too long. Some baseball players stay too long. They way past their peak and are now a shadow of what they used to be, you know. So I don't want to do that. This undergraduate research thing that's been spread across the United States is really spread by smaller places, like not major research institutions, but places like UMD and liberal arts colleges. And because the PhD granting institutions had that old attitude, they want to focus on the PhD programs. They don't want to mess around with undergraduates. But now many major places are running very high level undergraduate research programs. So it's really part of the whole community. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. Though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be.